Hey guys, how you doing today? Going for my usual walk. I actually hurt myself yesterday, so I'm gonna be slow going it this time around. I'm trying to. I was living in an apartment where I couldn't put my hand above my head. I didn't have any space. Then I move into an apartment where I've got all this space in the middle of the room, and so I'm like. So last night I finished my live stream. I live streamed 6 to 9. I finished the live stream and I think to myself, you know what? It was a great live stream. Had a good time. I'm gonna work out again. I've been wanting to. I've been meaning to get back into a workout routine, and so I put on my workout video, and I realized about, I'd say, 10 minutes in, maybe even sooner than that, like 5 minutes into the video, that I'm weak. I'm very, very weak now, and so. Of course, as you do when you're starting to work out and you think that you're tougher and bigger and stronger than you actually are, you hurt yourself, or I hurt myself. So my right hip especially is going, hey John, this is what you're gonna feel like when you're 80. Oh good, oh good. I can't, really looking forward to that. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We were talking about Justin Trudeau, and I have a pretty dim view of Justin Trudeau generally. I think everybody should, right? Like, the guy sells weapons to Saudi Arabia. The guy sells weapons to Israel. The guy is invading First Nations land currently. I mean, he's a general dip. He's certainly sold to corporate power. But it's always good every so often to point out when such organizations do good things, right? When such people do good things. And Justin Trudeau has, and the Liberals have declared plastics as toxic, right? Now, why is this a big deal? So this is a big deal because it actually means that single-use plastics, so you're like single-use forks, your single-use straws, right? Plastics that are designed to be disposable are no longer going to be used here in Canada. I mean, one would assume and think that such a practice would have never been the case, right? Why are we using a non-renewable resource to create, like literally create disposable items, right? And the more you think about it, the more you think how grotesque it is for a people to use a non-renewable resource as a renewable resource. In fact, just saying it out loud, or a non-renewable resource as a disposable item, just saying it out loud makes you realize like how backwards we are as a people and how inverted our worldview is as a culture, that like no one at any point stood up and said, no, we're not going to use oil that we extract from the ground, of which there's a limited supply, and then turn it into a spork for some, 2-year-old kid to use at a picnic one time and then throw away. Like, it's a clear and overt and obvious example of the free market of capitalism completely failing, right? Like, the idea that there are these disposable plastic items in the first place is just this overt and obvious indication that free market capitalism has failed, and that what we have had to do now, way late in the process, is finally declare this kind of practice to be unacceptable. And like, as much as I like this, as I have said in this video, that it's good, like it's good that they have finally done this, pretty late in the process, eh? Like, here we are, it's 2021, and we're facing this climate catastrophe, right? That's gonna come and literally wipe us out. And a good 30% of the society denies that it even is happening, right? Denies that climate change is real. And what's the major front? What's the big push that we as a society are moving towards? Oh, we're gonna ban straws. I just think we're a bit late. We're a bit late in the game to be doing such small token kind of things, right? If you're one of these people that duck out of these videos around now, please be sure to leave a like. Please be sure to leave a share, a subscription. I only need 10 more people to get to 500 subscribers. You could be one of those 10 people. I mean, I know you need a communist on your feed. I know you don't have a communist on your feed. Hi, I'm the Canadian commie. I could be the communist on your feed. So, like, I would think that at this stage in the conversation, we would be talking about at least major reforms to the way that we operate as a country, right? Like, there are, what are the major causes, right, of climate change? Food, right? Our agricultural sector, especially meat production, creates an enormous amount of carbon, which gets, as we know, gets caught in the atmosphere. That's what's causing this whole thing from happening in the first place, right? Transportation, right? Just driving cars around, burning fuel out of these cars, right? And there is literally no talk of, oh, maybe we should ration this, right? Maybe we should actually say you only get a certain amount of access to fuel. You only get a certain amount of access to these things. There's just no talk about it whatsoever. And like, to a large degree, this is like a cultural problem, right? We have been trained as a people to be as selfish as possible, right? To be as focused on the individual. And the more you look into the ideology of individualism, the more you realize that, like, it is just selfishness, right? Be as selfish as possible, be as greedy as possible, focus on you as much as possible. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't even think of collective organizing or collectivization in any sense. And in fact, once you go to the far degree of this ideology, you start to denigrate collectivism, even though every society needs to have a collective I, right? Like, societies need, there are moments in history or in as we move forward as people where we need to move together as a people, right? We need to make a plan and execute that plan together collectively. Take a look at, oh, I don't know, COVID, right? There's a moment where we can't just operate as a bunch of individuals. Like, that's how you end up with a bunch of idiots, you know, causing a run on toilet paper, which, if you'll recall, that's exactly what we did, right? Like, if you have absolutely no connection to any kind of collective organizing or any kind of idea of collectivization, that we operate in a society, that we're a people, then it's very difficult to actually move forward in collective ways until it becomes so obvious that it should be done, that you end up with a majority that do it, right? And we are at a phase right now where the analogy I've always used is, like, imagine there's an invading army, right? You can see them coming. They're on the water, right? We're here in Canada, so they're on the water. They're coming. We have photographic evidence of them. We have interviews with the army, with the opposing army that are coming, right? Who are saying, we're coming to destroy all Canadians and destroy everybody, right? Our intention is to completely scorched earth the operation, destroy everybody. And what's the response from Canada? Well, a third of the population doesn't believe that it exists, right? Another third of the population acknowledges that it exists, but maybe we can just do like tiny little piecemeal reforms and we'll come up with some kind of technological solution, right? And then the other third of Canadians are screaming their head off about it because they see that there's an opposing army that's coming to destroy us, but they don't know what to do about it, right? And so they can be placated with, like, oh, we'll put some sandbags along the coast, you know? So the Liberal government goes and puts some sandbags along the coast. and that's supposed to placate the third of the people who are screaming their head off about it, right? And the third of the people who see that there's a problem and that, oh, they'll be some, they go, well, what's your problem, right? We put sandbags along the coast. What's the problem? And like, literally, I'm standing here being like, we need to erect a war economy, right? We need to look at this situation. We need to acknowledge that it is a species-threatening problem, right? That is going to come and wipe us out, or at the very least, create an environment that is so hostile that it isn't even suitable for human life any longer. And we're all just kind of going along our merry ways. We're still selling Dodge Rams. We're still selling like the worst offenders, the big gas guzzling, fuel just draining. And what's so offensive to me is that we have encountered as a species this kind of environmental difficulty before, right? Back in the 80s, there was the aerosol crisis, right? Aerosols were punching holes in the atmosphere, right? And there was no, all of this bullshit surrounding it, all of this anti-propaganda, all of this kind of stuff, it didn't exist. In fact, that crisis went exactly as you hope it would. We acknowledged that there was a situation, an environmental crisis. We discovered what the problem was. We legislated away the problem, and the environment healed itself. Because that's what the environment wants to do, right? Like, this is what's so abhorrent to me. Like, not only can we solve these problems, we can solve these problems, but the system that we live in wants to heal. The system that we live in wants things to be stable. It wants it to be this way, right? That if we leave it alone, it returns back to some kind of normalcy, right? That if we stop pumping carbon into the air and stop polluting this place, it actually resolves the issue itself. And so it really is in like a black and white kind of way. Like, we are destroying ourselves because the system is built specifically to maintain life. The system is built specifically to keep things stable, to keep things sustainable, to grow food, to grow plants and life, right? Like, that's how the system works, right? And it wants to act this way, and it wants to heal, and it has like a couple of rules, right? Don't punch holes in the atmosphere, right? Like, don't pump carbon into the atmosphere. And we are just so stupid and hell-bent on living a life in which we have superpowers, basically. We can get into this horseless chassis, burn what is essentially the bones of our ancestors in this necromantic act of just absolute disgusting pollution, so that we can what? Go fast? How's that working out for us, right? How's that working out for us? So we can zip across the city in 2 hours and waste our life doing a job that's worthless, right? Like, how's that working out for us? And then we're supposed to turn around and pat ourselves on the back because Justin Trudeau bans, what, straws? Like, that disposable plastics are now not being used. Like, we need a leader, and we need leadership that's actually going to seize the reins of the economy and actually do something about it. And we as a people need to start accepting that if we're actually going to face, like, you think that when our grandparents faced the Nazis, they didn't sacrifice something? Like, we're going to have to sacrifice. We have to be adults about this, because Lord knows, like, the conservatives aren't. Lord knows that there are large groups of our society that are not going to be adults about this. They're just going to be big babies the entire time, and they're going to cry their heads off because they want to destroy the planet, right? And they don't even think that there's a problem. So, and if we don't, I mean, we're just going to eat it. Like, that's really what it comes down to. If we don't start acting like adults, we're just going to eat it. Well, this is the end of this video, guys. Under these circumstances, you're doing wonderfully. You're doing good things for the people around you. You're doing good things for yourself. These billionaires do everything they can to destroy this place and gaslight you into thinking that you're something other than you are, which is a divine being walking around in divine energy. Good luck. We're going to need it.